Got a lengthy type reading, 15 verses, but I think I'm going to try to stay in that, basically in this 11th chapter, as I try to teach what's on my heart. What's on my heart this morning, or subject, is never quit. Never quit. And hopefully we can look at some thoughts here and apply it to our lives, but many times we're quitters. And I want us to look at it. And Numbers, Jane, you want to read?
I'll read.
Read real loud the first 15 verses, and I want to try to kind of focus in on this 11th chapter a little bit. Usually I don't teach just one chapter like that.
And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it. And his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moses, and when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again, and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all beside this manna before our eyes. And the manna was as coriander seed, and the color thereof as the color of bdellium. And the people went about and gathered it and ground it in mills, or beat it in a mortar and baked it in pans and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as the taste of fresh oil. And when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it. Then Moses heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly. Moses also was displeased. And Moses said unto the Lord, Wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all this people upon me? Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them, that thou shouldest say unto me, Carry them in thy bosom as a nursing father beareth the sucking child unto the land which thou swearest unto their fathers? Whence should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, Give us flesh that we may eat. I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand. If I have found favor in thy sight, let me not see my wretchedness.
All right, that's kind of long reading, but there's a lot involved here. Like I say, the main thing is I want to look at about is never quit, never quit. When I was in high school, playing football, I was pretty strong, but football players have to be in good shape. And I was in good shape. We lifted barbells and all that. And I went in the Navy, and I was, I figured, well, these little things we're going to be doing here is not going to be anything. And it wasn't. I mean, the obstacle course was a breeze for me, because I was healthy and very strong, could run like a deer. And that wasn't what bothered me. What do you think made me want to quit the Navy and come home? Lonely. Being lonely. Loneliness is a terrible thing. It didn't matter how good a shape I was in, and sometimes we just get lonely and we get depressed and we get downhearted, defeated, and things just aren't going good for you. And I even played sick in football camp one time. I didn't want to go out and practice that morning at 6:30 or wherever it was due in a nasty place out there at Larwalker Lake, had sand spurs and stuff on it. I didn't want to go out there. I'd had enough of it. And Coach, he advised me, he said, you might better go out there. So he didn't get a ride home. So he convinced me, and I went on back out and practiced. I'm glad I did, but we all are, at some time or another, I feel like we all do, I may be wrong, but I feel like that we get depressed and down. The things of the world get to you, and you begin to start getting depressed. That's what's happened here in these 15 verses that we were reading. Moses had a problem, big problem. the people there, if you notice verses 1 through 3, he had 2 million people basically that were whining and complaining about what was going on. Now he had went into Egypt and got them out, and brought them out into the desert, and God was feeding them manna from on high, and they had water and all that. They had it better out there in the wilderness. Really, they said they didn't. They said the leeks and the onions are better, but they began to whine and complain, and they just wasn't satisfied. And the people were rubbing Moses. They were rubbing him the wrong way. Well, what he had done there, even though they were rubbing him the wrong way, he still was praying for them and trying to do his best to take care of them and do what God would have him to do out there in the wilderness. So there was food out there, verses 4 through 9. There wasn't no Kroger's out there with it. Wasn't no Harveys, no small marts. But they were acting crazy out there, and Moses was at the point just about to have a breakdown. I mean, he told God, he said, these people aren't cooperating at all. They're not doing what you would have me to tell them to do. So they were complaining and carrying on, verses 4 through 9. And Moses, he said, the God is the feeder, and I'm the leader, but they're not doing anything I'm telling them to do. And he was about to have a nervous breakdown there. He was very displeased. So in Numbers 11, 10 through 15, Janice, how about reading 10 through 15 and notice here how Moses is fixing to have a breakdown here.
Then Moses heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. The anger of the Lord was kindled greatly. Moses also was displeased. And Moses said to the Lord, wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all this people upon me? Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them, that thou shouldest say unto me, carry them in thy bosom as a nursing father beareth the suckling child, unto the land which thou swearest unto their fathers? Whence should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, give us flesh that we may eat. I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand, if I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness.
Here Moses was displeased in all this, and eventually in that 15th verse there, what was he saying? Prior to that, he was afflicted. He said, and if thou deal thus with me, kill me. Do you think he was ready to just go and quit? You get like that. You know, back in 1955, Russia built a satellite, and they shot it up in the air, and they was the first ones to send. They called it Sputnik. You remember the Sputnik? They sent it up in 1955. Now this is Russia, a communist country. They sent the Sputnik up, and then they sent later on. They sent another satellite up with a creature that was living. It was a dog. His name was Mutnik. It was a mutt dog, a husky dog. It was a mixed dog. Had a lot of husky in him. And my understanding, they named him Mutnik. And this is in 1955. And America was trying to build their satellites. You remember that? And they kept failing. Well, in 1957, they sent that Mutnik up, the dog. They knew that life could live in space, or creatures could live in space, and this was the dog. Well, America kept trying and trying and trying. In 1961, I think it was, they pretty well had made several, 18 or 20 tries and couldn't get it off the ground. And Russia, which was a communist country, they were still shooting them up, but they wasn't going to the moon. Well, eventually, the president said, we're going to get this thing going. And they did. And in 1969, guess what happened? Man set foot on the moon. The moon now, was it Armstrong? Who was it?
Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong. He was the first man. But you know why they got to the moon ahead of Russia? They started trying other things, and they couldn't get there. Well, they kept on going. They never quit. America never quit. And they built that satellite and went on up to the moon, the space, in space. And it's all because they didn't give up. We don't need to give up neither in a spiritual way. And many times we get like Moses and just about have a breakdown, but we're to never quit. And they was provided food and all this. But then he turns right around and says, Lord, just kill that 15th verse, 11th chapter, Numbers. Lord, just kill me. I'm ready to quit. A lot of our preachers right now are going through a lot of trouble. And so they don't need to give up and quit. The devil loves a quitter. Yeah, his old saying, winners never quit. Quitters never win. Or backwards, whichever it is. But my daddy used to just tell me that. And he'd tell me, if you start to do something, finish it. Yeah, and whatever it is, you finish it. Have your parents ever told you to do that? Well, we're to never quit. And the same way, in a spiritual way, we're not to quit. But Jonah himself, you remember he was told to go to Nineveh. And he was to preach to those Ninevites. And he didn't do what God said to start with, but eventually he went on in, and he got angry and sat under a juniper tree. He said, just take my life. I'm ready to quit. Do we do that sometimes? We won't quit. But don't quit. Never quit. Elijah was sitting up there under a juniper tree after he had seen the power of God in Kings 18. I believe it's in the 18th chapter. Elijah had seen the power of God come down, and then in the 19th chapter, what happened to him? A woman threatened his life, and he takes off and goes out there and gets up under a juniper tree, and what did he say? Kill me. I'm ready to give up.
Only one left.
Take my life, huh?
He said he was the only one left.
I'm the only one left. Well, God had said, what is it, 7,000 men that never bowed to Baal. He wasn't alone, but that's the way the devil does. The devil loves a quitter, don't he? He loves a quitter. Over in Galatians 6:9 it says, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due time we shall reap if we faint not. Don't faint. Don't give up. Don't quit. Job himself was a very, you read over the Hebrews of faith in chapter 11, I believe it's in Hebrews, and Job was in on that. Job was a faithful man, but even Job, listen to what Job 3:3 says, let the day perish where I was born. He was ready to give up in this point of his life. Can we get discouraged so much like that? So even loneliness and things like that makes you want to quit? Yeah. I get that way. I'll be honest with you. I get just like over there, and I'm like Jeremiah, crying my heart about things that are happening in this world. And he was called a weeping prophet, Jeremiah was. Well, sometimes we're like Jeremiah, aren't we? I thought about Asaph. Think about it. Turn over to Psalm 73. This is one of my favorite scriptures I love to refer back to because it says so much about a child of God that's trying to do his best. And we see, today we see people that are prospering in the world and they're wicked people. We see people today that are doing things that are contrary to God's word. And all day long we are being, seems like things just aren't going to go right today for me. Never going right. Every day is a problem. And we're supposed to be children of God. In Jeremiah chapter, Psalm 73. Christy, will you read that?
73, what verse?
Start with verse 1 and think about this. Think about him being out, Asaph being out there, and he sees all what he sees, and he can't have, he doesn't fully comprehend what's happening until the last part of it.
Truly God is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone.
Hold up right there. What did he say? As for me, I'm fixing to give up. So I keep going.
My steps had well nigh slipped, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men.
I'll stop right there. It says they don't never get in trouble, but everything I do, it seems like I get caught right away. Have you ever done things like that? And you say, why did I get caught? I mean, it's pretty obvious that he done this or she done that. Well, my feet's almost slipped. I'm taking the fold up now. Keep going.
Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak lawfully. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. And they say, how doth the Lord know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly, who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. Verily I've cleansed my heart in vain, and washed my hands in innocency. For all the day long have I been plagued, and chastened every morning. If I say I will speak thus, behold, I shall offend against the generation of thy children. When I thought to know this, it was too painful for me, until I went into the sanctuary of God. Then understood I their end.
You hear what he's saying here? These people, these wicked, ungodly, it says they're ungodly. These wicked and ungodly people are prospering in the world, and everything they touch basically turns to gold. I can be in trouble in just a second, but it don't seem like they ever get caught doing anything wrong. These are the ungodly who are prospering in the world. And he said, I don't understand it. I'm chasing, I'm beat, I'm plagued every morning until I went where? To the sanctuary. Where's the sanctuary at? Is this the sanctuary? Then I understood their end. We understand the ungodly are going to be like that. The world's going to be like that. The world going to carry on. And somebody that's trying to walk right with God, they get persecuted all the time, all the day long there. You know, Peter tells us, Peter 4:12, it tells us that it says, beloved, think it not strange though the fiery trials are to try you. In other words, think, if you're going to enter the kingdom of God, you're going to be a follower of Christ, you're going to have to go through some suffering. Acts 14:22, it says, confirming the souls, it says, there's much tribulation to enter the kingdom. Well, are you going to be on a bed of roses all the way if you're a child of God and a Christian? No. ASAP says all day long, they've been like this. And I've been plagued and chastened. I've suffered. I went through trials. I went through all these troubles and problems and situations. Why did Moses say, Lord, kill me? Why did Jonah say, take my life? Why? Because the Bible tells us that we're going to suffer persecution. But he says it's better to suffer for well-doing than for what? Evil doing. It's better to serve God for well-doing than evil. But Solomon tried to give up. Asaph, Jeremiah, Israel. Turn to, I don't think I went to Psalm 137. Turn to Psalm 137. Let's think about this. Brother David, will you read that? This picture here, he's fixing to read. You picture it in your mind what Israel had been in slavery. And I'm going to tell you now, the prisons back in those days wasn't like the prisons we have here. From what I've read and calculated and found out through over the years, that if I'm studying about different ones that were Paul was in jail and so forth, they would beat the tar out of them. And that's kind of a swing word way to say it, but they punish you bad. Even the old convicts back in the 60s, they wore, y'all probably remember, where they wore chains and made it on their feet and they'd make them work. They didn't sit up in the cell watching TV like they're doing today. When Jake goes to work over there where he's at, and I'm not going to say where he's at because we don't film, but where he works at, them people are treated better than you and I in a lot of ways. They get mad if their TV tears up over there. Man, the prisons back in the old days, during Israel days, was rough, and they were in slavery. Now listen to what happened in Psalm 137, and see if they had a reason.
Begin in verse 1.
Yeah.
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harp upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song. And they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's songs in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy, remember, O Lord, the children of Eden, in the days of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the fountains thereof.
I thought about that. I mainly want to pull out that first part where they were hanging their harps upon the willow tree. In other words, they were telling them to sing a song of Zion. And they were so heartbroken and all that being in slavery, they would take their harps and hang it upon a willow tree. And they refused to sing the song of Zion. They were ready to give up and quit. You ever hung your harp upon a willow tree in a spiritual way? Absolutely, we all have. So I'll close out. There's other, there's many others I can go on, but time's run out. Nehemiah over there, they were building the wall and so forth. We're not going to go into that. Sanballat and all them made fun of him, but they built the wall anyway. But I want to close out with a thought here. Two thoughts. One is, a man that's plowing shouldn't look back. But we need to do like over here, Paul says, press forward to the mark of the high calling. Don't be looking back and thinking about what the world is doing. Focus on Jesus. Look forward and run that race that's set before you. And I'm going to close with this little saying here that I thought I picked up off the computer and I like it. And it's the very last two words tell you what I'm trying to say this morning. It says, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, do things go wrong with ASAP? That goes wrong with us too. When things go wrong, and sometimes will, when the road you trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and when you want to smile, but you just make a sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest it must be, don't quit. Success is failure turned inside out. The silver tint the clouds of doubt. And you never tell how close you are, and it may be here when it seems so far. So stick to the fight, which Paul says, fight the good fight of faith. So stick to the fight when you read hardest hit. When things go wrong, you mustn't quit. Don't quit. Stand fast. Stand firm. But the devil loves a quitter. Vince Lombardi was a great coach. He said, don't quit. And he always had a successful team in his career. Anybody got anything?